Alright guys, today I'm going to give you a little tour of the chicken coop, how we got set up here. So if you watched my other video, you seen we were most of the way done with it, and I did change the door setup, so we got double doors now and they open up this way. It's got a couple of barrel locks on it. It opens up. There's our nesting boxes, and you shut it back, latch it, just like that. And then we got our chicken wire down here, our chicken wire over here, and the way that I attach this to the chain link over here is I just put a board on the other side of the chain link and then screwed this board to our other boards here, so then it sandwiches the chain link in between. So we run it over, the chain link runs over to the edge of the yard there and over, and we run this over, and we ran our own fence down this side. I didn't have enough chicken wire to do the whole bottom without doing like 10 pieces of it, so I did the welded wire, then the chicken wire. Honestly, you should probably do it the opposite way, but this is the purpose of this isn't to keep predators out, it's really just to keep the chickens in. But we ran just whatever board I had. I have a bunch of scrap boards, so we ran boards all along the bottom, all along the top, and these posts are not long enough to set in the ground, they're just here. And so in order to stand them up, there was really only about two options. You could run a board long ways on the ground and just use it as kind of like a mobile wall kind of situation where the legs just hold it up. And I've seen people do that and be able to move their stuff around, and it works really well. But all I did was I had this tree, so I tied it to the tree with a board, and obviously it's tied to the chain link the same way the other side is. It's just got this board on the outside of it, and then I come in from the inside and tie it to these two boards. So it's tied in there, it's tied in on the chicken coop, and then it's tied in the middle here to the tree. And it's solid. It's not going anywhere. And then we have our nice little door here with a little latch. I gotta get something put in it first for eventually. And it's just a light door. I use pocket screws to screw it together. Nice and easy to open and close. And I just got this 2x4 here just to act as a door jamb. And then we have our little lean-to here. And this just provides some shade for them, and then also keeps the food and the water clean. And it gives us a place to hang these. And this is all one chain that holds this together. So it's screwed in over here, and then it runs over here, and then it's over this screw, and it runs down, loops in, then runs back up, and then I can hook it. I have it hooked on here, so I can unhook this if I want, and I can adjust the height, so I can move it. If I want to go up here, it'll lower this feeder down, or I can go up a few more lengths and raise it up if I want. And then the water does the same thing, so that's nice. And then we go ahead and keep our feed right here in our trash can. I got a video on how I make the feed, and then we got an inside shot of the coop here. We got pine shavings for the bedding, and we got 3 2x4s stood up and that's their roost, and they really like those. And just a simple 2x4 standing up really works well for them. And then this is their run. There's no roof on it, and there is hawks in the area, but for us it's really not an issue. I guess it depends on where you're at, but we lock our chickens up at night, every night. And the important thing when you have an open coop like this is just having somewhere for them to quickly run. And if they see a hawk coming, you'll notice them kind of run under here. And when they're free ranging or something, they'll be over there running under that deck, trying to get free or trying to get cover. The other thing is I got an old ladder that's cut up sitting in here. I got this piece over here, and that's just something for them to sit on and mess around with. And we got an egg down here. This is one of the situations you're going to run into when you have chickens, is sometimes they're just going to lay eggs wherever they want. But luckily we don't really have a ton of spaces in here. That's kind of by design, you know. You don't have a lot of hiding spots in here where it makes it hard to get to your eggs. It's kind of out in the open. If you give a chicken a lot of dark, kind of closed in spaces, then they're going to lay eggs in there. So you kind of want it as open as you can get it. You just got to make sure you got to check in there, make sure they're not laying eggs just somewhere randomly in the coop. So we'll get back out here. And you know, that's plenty of space for our chickens. And that's plenty of space for a lot of chickens, really. We got all this grass over here to mess around with. This other door opens up here for when we need to clean it, and also in here the nesting boxes are just sitting in here, so I can remove them when need be, if I need to clean them, or just to help me get the coop clean. So these will open, both doors will open up, and I can take the nesting boxes in there and get in there and clean everything out. Alright, and then really the last thing to do with this coop is over here we got a string, and I've run it through a couple eye bolts. There's the eye bolt over there, and this just hooks onto a screw here with the little loop, and this is what controls the door. You can see there. So you just come out here in the morning, open it up, hook it around, and that lets them out. And then in the nighttime they'll go in there by themselves when it starts getting dark out, and you just close it up. Then we have our secondary coop. And this one's for the babies. If we need to quarantine somebody, or if we got a broody hen. And here's Mama and her babies. This is our newest hatch. These guys are about maybe a week old, week and a half old. And then this was our first hatch of the year. These guys are about 6 weeks old. And they just stay in here for right now. We let them free range sometimes, but this chain link fence doesn't hold them in. They're still small enough to get out of it. And as long as when they're that young, they'll follow Mama around, and it's not that big a deal. But about a month into it, Mama kind of leaves them, and so they end up just going wherever. And they're over halfway into the neighbor's yard. So hopefully we're trying to keep them in here for another week or so, and hopefully by then they'll be big enough. I think some of them are big enough to where they can't get through the chain link fence already. But this is our other chicken coop. Eventually I'm going to make a video and really get this made up into a mobile chicken tractor, which it's pretty mobile now. It's not very heavy and you can kind of drag it around, but I'm gonna really make it into a mobile chicken coop with some wheels on it, and so we can move it around. But this is what we keep our babies in. This was our first chicken coop. We bought it at Tractor Supply. It's cheap, it's small, but it's a decent, you know, chicken coop for what you pay for it. And it'll work great as a chicken tractor, and it works great for keeping these guys in. And it would be a lot better if we didn't have two different hatchings, you know, a month apart. We wouldn't have as much issue. But these guys have to sleep outside here on these 2x4s because we keep Mama in here and we just let her free range during the day. So that's about it. That's our chicken coop. That's our chicken tour. We have right now we've just butchered one of our laying hens for meat because she was potentially eating eggs. So we're kind of trying to, we think it's a couple different chickens that are egg eaters, so we're trying to eliminate those. And so now we're down to 4, 5, we're down to 7 laying hens plus her. Whenever she gets done with the babies, she'll go back to laying. So we got 8 of them, but right now we got 7 of them, and you'll get probably about 5 eggs a week out of a good laying hen. Some are better than others. If you're looking for something that is just for laying eggs, you're probably going to be looking at maybe like an Isa Brown, a Leghorn, a Rhode Island Red. Those are all very good egg layers. For me personally, I like these buff Orpingtons because they're very sociable and they're really pretty chickens. The Rhode Island Reds and the Isa Browns, and they're kind of ugly, you know. I'm not a big fan of them. They're kind of tall, lengthy. They don't have really poofy feathers. The Leghorns, they're pretty, but they're all white and they lay white eggs. So yeah, I'll be interested to see. We got a mixed breeds of chickens in here. Let me go over here and we'll go over some of the different chickens we have. So that one's a buff Orpington. That's the one we got the most of. We have 5 of the buff Orpingtons, and they're very good mothers. If you want to ever hatch eggs, buff Orpingtons are a good chicken to have because they will go broody, but they don't go broody all the time. But they do go broody, and they are very good mothers, which is important. So here we got our black Astral, and it's a really great chicken. She's very quiet. She's really sociable. She's very curious. She's smart, and she's pretty. I mean, I like the all black chicken. She's got real poofy feathers. Over here's our rooster, Cluck Norris. He's a Rhode Island Red. And personally, if you're looking to get a rooster so you can hatch eggs, or if you feel like a rooster is going to help protect your hens, depending on what situation you're in, I would not suggest the Rhode Island Red. They're very aggressive. They're kind of hard on your hens, and they're very aggressive towards children, and they're just mean. They're just mean roosters. Now sometimes that can be a good thing depending on what your situation is, and I don't mind Cluck. He does all right, but he is mean. So you don't want to mess with him. See if we can find the Y dot. We got a speckled, a silver laced Y dot there, and she's really pretty, but she's kind of small. She lays kind of small eggs, and she's not as productive in the summertime, but she does give a lot of eggs out in the wintertime. So that's something else to think about. But really, that chicken was just given to us, and it's not something I would really recommend chicken wise. I really just like my buffs because they lay really good eggs. They're good egg layers, and they're good mothers, and they have good temperament. Buff Orpington, can't lose. This is Rhode Island Red Hen. Nope, she doesn't want to be seen. And they're just kind of ugly to me, honestly. They're tall, lengthy, just not very poofy, but they lay a ton of eggs, and they never go broody. So it's all about priorities, you know. If you just want to lay as many eggs as possible, get you a bunch of Rhode Island Reds or some Isa Browns. If you want to get a bunch of brown eggs. And don't even get a rooster, because you don't need one for the hens to lay eggs. And it's just going to create more noise, and so he's just going to kind of tear up your chickens, really. That's why you see all these, you see that Y dot over there. That's why you see her with her back feathers kind of tore up, because that's from the rooster picking out the feathers. Here's our black one. She's a really smart chicken. She's always trying to escape. And you'll see, but when they want to get cool off, when they want to clean themselves, they'll take what you call a dust bath. That's what these big holes in the ground are here, where they just dig into the dirt and they just kick the dirt up in between their feathers, just to kind of knock all the bugs and stuff off, and give themselves a nice little dust bath. So you can give them stuff like play sand, some real fine sand like that, for them to dust around in, but it doesn't really seem to be necessary for us. They like the dirt better. And it's hard just to keep the, you know, the sand, just they'll dust bath in it, and they'll just slowly work it till there's nothing left. You just have to constantly keep filling it up, and it takes forever, it seems like, for that play sand stuff to dry out, especially if you've got it in a container. So I just let them dust bath in the dirt. It seems to do just fine for them. Let's see, what else? We give them a good dusting with some diatomaceous earth. I got a video on that, I think, too, where I dust them with the diatomaceous earth. That helps kill all their kill off all the mites and stuff that they get. And I put that stuff in their feed too to help deworm them. It helps them, helps to deworm them. And yeah, they're not medicated. I don't give them any medicine or anything. All I do is just put that diatomaceous earth in their feed and dust them every once in a while. And that's it. Just keep their chicken coop clean, give them plenty of room. And I think this is, you know, quite a bit of room. The run here is about, let's see here, 1, 2, 3. I'd say it's about 40 some feet by 20 feet, roughly. About 40 by 20. And that's plenty of space for these guys and more. We got about 14 babies that are 6 weeks old, and we got 10 babies that are a week old. And what we're gonna do is they'll grow up. When they get to a good size, we'll kill all the roosters for meat. Might save one. We might save one. We might save two and replace Cluck here with one of them, since he's such an aggressive rooster. But typically you really only want one rooster. You get two of them, they're going to be fighting and trying to kill each other. But you also want to have good fertilization if you're wanting to hatch eggs, and that's what we want to do. We want to hatch eggs from time to time, so that's why we got plenty of buffs. And we're going to want at least one rooster to every 10 hens that we have in order to get good fertilization. And that number can vary depending on what breed you're talking about. Silkies are a little bit different, but for our chickens, 10 to 1 works just fine. Our first hatch, we got 15 eggs hatched out of 15, and then our second one was 12 out of 14, I believe. So we got good fertilization going on. As far as treats go, I just feed them corn. You can feed them mealworms. They love mealworms, but they're very expensive. We give them table scraps, you know, I give them lettuce, and I give them fruit and vegetables. Just kind of, they're almost like pigs, you know. You just give them whatever, they'll eat it. Chickens are omnivores. They'll eat meat, they'll eat veggies, they'll eat it all. What else we got? I think that's about it. And since our rooster's Rhode Island Red, and we got a bunch of buff Orpingtons, we're going to have a bunch of our chickens. Now we're going to be Rhode Island Red buff Orpington mix, and I'm really hoping that can be some really good breeding combination, because the buff, like I said, the buff Orpingtons, they have everything good, but they do lay less eggs than the Rhode Island Red. So I'm hoping we get everything good from the buff Orpington, along with maybe some better egg laying from the Rhode Island Red genes. But we'll see. So my chicken coop is 8 foot by 8 foot. That's plenty of space. I got those 3 8-foot long 2x4s for them to roost on. You can fit at least a good 10 chickens on them, on each one of those roosts. So that chicken coop should be plenty for about 30 chickens. I think that's about it. You know, if anybody has any questions or anything that they feel like I'm missing here, or any knowledge to add, maybe I'm making some mistakes somewhere. Nobody's perfect. Feel free to comment. Feel free to comment and give me your thoughts on what you think about our setup, what you think about our chickens. Like I said, this setup we got now, it's not really predator proof. It's not intended to be, because we lock our chickens up every night. But if you're somebody who can't come out here and shut your chickens in every night and open it up every morning, then you might consider something different and have a closed-in run. And that's what we had for a long time. But it's just after a long time of kind of trial and error, just figuring out what works for us, and that's what you have to do. And I'd strongly advise everybody to get chickens who is allowed to, or who has the space for them, because it's really good to get farm fresh eggs right in your backyard. Chickens, you know, they're very smart. A lot of people think chickens aren't very smart, but they're very smart. And if you handle them good, handle them a lot when they're babies, and you spend a lot of time with them, they're very sociable animals, and you can become very attached to them. Now, one thing I would mention is that if you're going to raise them for meat, getting attached to them is not exactly a good thing, because you will have to eventually kill them and eat them. So just keep that in mind. If that's something you really want to do, then you have to have that mindset from the beginning. And honestly, if you're going to raise them for meat, unless you're hatching them like we are, hatching them out yourself, then you're better off just to buy Cornish cross. That's what those chickens have been bred for, and you can slaughter them within 4 months. Before they're even old enough to even start laying eggs, they're ready to slaughter for plenty of meat. And that's the route I would go for meat birds. You know, we're hatching these guys out so we don't have to buy them at the store, and so it's going to work out perfectly for us to just kill these roosters for meat and kill a couple of these troubled hens for meat. But if we were serious about getting meat for on a consistent basis from chickens, then we would get Cornish cross. So that's one thing that I forgot that I just wanted to add in there. So I think that's going to be it. This video's running a little long, I'm sorry. I'm just kind of rambling out here, but I appreciate everybody liking, subscribing, and thanks for watching.